Hello and welcome to the Young Readers Story Club. Now today we've got the fantastic author Guy Bass. I love his books. I've got a couple of them myself. He's written loads of books. They're really funny and he's a really great author. And we're really pleased to have him with us today. So hello Guy.
Hi! It's true, I am professional author and amateur poet Guy Bass, and I am going to tell you a story. Now, the inspiration for this story comes from two places. The first is my hometown of Peterborough and the River Nene, which flows through the town and through the little village that I grew up in. Now, every few years, the river would burst its banks and it would flood all of the nearby fields. And the second inspiration is a boy that I went to school with whose head kept falling off.
Their head fell off. Wow, okay, well, I'm looking forward to hearing the story.
This is the strange tale of Rodney G. Rudd that starts with a sneeze and ends in a flood. It's hard to believe, but try not to scoff as you learn of the fate of Rodney-Head-Falls-Off. Who gave him that name? No one can recall, though it may have been Sophie surprisingly tall. Young Rodney was normal in every respect. For a boy of his age, he's what you'd expect, except for one thing. A peculiar condition, which meant when he sneezed, his head went, well, missing. It flew from his neck and fell to the floor, then bounced on the ground or out of the door. It went back onto his neck with relative ease, but it only stayed there till the next time he sneezed. Rodney had to admit it wasn't much fun, and it made it quite hard to get anything done. To make matters worse, his head made him famous. He'd often end up in local newspapers. Then, one day, at the Rudds family home, Rodney heard the ring of the old telephone. He picked up the phone and answered, "Hello? Is that Rodney? Oh, good evening. I'm Fate, don't you know?" said the voice on the phone. "That is Dr. P. Fate, and I might have a cure for your curious state. You see, I don't deal with your standard diseases, but only in problems relating to sneezes. I'm sure I can help, for in 100 cases my patients stop sneezing on a permanent basis. Come to my surgery first thing tomorrow, and I'll put an end to your head-losing sorrow." Rodney couldn't believe it. A cure for his sneezing. He found the idea most exceedingly pleasing. He relayed the good news to his father and mother, who danced round with joy and hugged one another. "If this doctor's right, you'll be cured forever. We'll go first thing tomorrow, whatever the weather." The following morning, Rodney woke to a din. Rain battered the roof and was soon flooding in. "Rodney, get dressed," his mum frantically urged. "It's a rainstorm, a flood, the whole town is submerged." "We must get to the roof," cried his dad, "on the double, before the house fills with water and we're all in big trouble." The family clambered up onto the roof, and Rodney then witnessed the terrible truth. The street was a river. The town was a sea. It was all underwater but for chimneys and trees. "But the doctor's expecting us!" Rodney cried out in terror. "You said that we'd see him whatever the weather." "There's a flood," said his mum. "We couldn't have known. I'm sure Dr. Fate will agree to postpone." "Just my luck," grumbled Rodney, wringing out his wet clothes. Then suddenly, he felt a slight twitch in his nose. He scratched it and rubbed it and gave it a squeeze. But too late to stop. Rodney let out a sneeze. Pop went his head and bounced off the roof and into the river of rain with a sploosh. "Rodney!" cried Dad. "Oh no!" cried his mum. But too late to save him. Rodney's head was long gone. It seemed all was lost, and his head gone for good. But this tale takes a twist, as all good tales should. Rodney's head did get found, and not a second too late, it washed up at the door of one Dr. P. Fate. "Ah, Rodney," said the doctor as he opened the door. "You're here right on time. Let's get on with your cure." And so, by the time he was put back together, Rodney sneezing was cured, thanks to fate and the weather. And soon people stopped calling him Rodney-Head-Falls-Off, though he now lost an arm every time that he coughed. And that is the strange tale of Rodney G. Rudd, that starts with a sneeze and ends as it should.
Oh, thanks, Guy. But before you go, if anyone's trying to write a story at home, then what advice do you give them?
So my advice would be find something that's kind of everyday, like for example, a river bursting its banks and flooding a field, and push that idea as far as you can. See what happens when you let that idea just run wild in your brain and go as far as you want with it. And just open your mind to the ideas and see where they take you.
Oh, thank you, Guy. Great advice there. And we really appreciate you telling that story, Rodney-Head-Falls-Off. What a great story. Really funny. And of course, partially inspired by growing up in Peterborough. Okay, so here's a quick challenge before we go. This is what we'd like you to do. Why don't you draw a picture of what Rodney-Head-Falls-Off looks like? Draw it and then send it in to us, and we'll share a few of our favourites. Okay, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all soon. Bye.